Good afternoon. This is Media Center, Ukraine, Odesa. We're starting our working day with the annual report of the Coordination Humanitarian Headquarters of the Odesa region. We are having with us Oleksii Chornyi, the head of the Humanitarian Coordination Headquarters of the Odesa region. Good afternoon, dear journalists and the residents of the Odesa Oblast. Today I'm again presenting the annual report, and there is a reason for this because I've decided to leave the position of the head of humanitarian headquarters. I was appointed on the 1st of April last year, and that's why I've decided to provide the report for this period to hand this job over to the next head of the humanitarian headquarters. As for possible candidates, we have a close cooperation with the regional administration. When Maxim Marchenko was a head of the regional administration, and the heads of other departments also support us with this, we can now select possible candidates and propose them to the regional administration. That's why we've decided now to announce a kind of a competition for possible candidates. We are waiting for your applications by the close of business Friday, and on Monday we are going to have the meeting of the humanitarian headquarters, and we would like to invite the representatives of NGOs and volunteer organizations to discuss all the applicants. And after that, we will submit the information, the contact details of the candidates, their presentations to the representatives of local authorities. And we hope that in Odesa region, there are people who are ready to continue our work. By the end of my report, my presentation, I will share details of what we can transfer to the new team. And we hope that the new team will be able to continue our work to provide support to Odesa residents and IDPs who are staying in our region. That's why today I'm going to present a report not for 1 month, namely for March, but for the last year, starting from the 1st of April 2022 to the 31st of March 2023. There are different opinions about what the scope of our work should be. But I would like to say that our headquarters is an auxiliary body to support the work of local authorities covering humanitarian aid. Unfortunately, we don't have our legal entity. We don't have bank accounts. That's why we cooperate with 3 institutions according to the order of the head of Odesa regional administration, and one of the institutions is responsible for healthcare, the second one for vehicles, and the third one is responsible for humanitarian aid that we get. The task of our headquarters is to agree the provision of the humanitarian aid from donors, to organize the delivery of this aid to our warehouse, to keep records of the humanitarian aid, to define needs of the communities and rayons, and also the cooperation with the legal entities such as hospitals, educational institutions, military units, boarding schools, and others. We also are responsible for disseminating humanitarian aid in the form of recommendations. We have been able to develop a transparent system. That's why our recommendations are accepted by local authorities. That's how we can affect the dissemination of humanitarian aid in the whole region. the principles of our activities. It was very important for us to develop the proper system to avoid corruption issues, because we understood that this topic will be constantly covered by mass media. That's why our team has open meetings where we openly discuss the humanitarian aid we are going to disseminate. After these meetings, we inform local authorities who can also attend our meetings and are a part of our team. After we make a decision, we ask to prepare all the documents needed for this. Our meetings were always open for everyone who wanted to attend them. Last year, we had 3 meetings per week. This year, we have 2 meetings per week, and everyone can attend these meetings to understand how we work, how we disseminate humanitarian aid, and what other issues we discuss. 95% of humanitarian aid was given to legal entities, including first of all, the territorial amalgamated communities, then hospitals, boarding schools, schools, and other institutions, then communal institutions, and military units, including such formations as National Guard, National Police, territorial defense units, etc. And only 5% of the humanitarian aid were provided to local NGOs, because they can find support and aid on their own. That's why we were more involved here in establishing contacts between local organizations and international donors for them to be able to find direct partners. As for reports, one of the forms that we've selected, you can see now this on the screen. These are public reports that we presented every month. We also are in contact with different mass media, printed or online. We were always open to TV programs and interviews. And now I would like to thank journalists for being so interested in our activities, and the journalists who were ready to show our work. This is the list of the mass media who supported us locally. There were also national TV channels and mass media who came to our region to have interviews with us. At the end of last year, we decided to publish all results of the disseminated aid for the last year, and we wanted to update this information, naming our donors and beneficiaries and the amount of aid provided and disseminated. That's why on our website you can always find information about our beneficiaries. There is also this section about our donors, those who provide humanitarian aid, those who care about needs of people in our region. And I'll share details a bit later. As for the structure of our headquarters, we have different types of units. And there are around 580 volunteers who were involved in our activities over the year. Some of them stayed with us for 1 week, but there is a team that have been working together for more than 6 months now. Some of these people are still volunteers. Others we were able to employ to the communal institution or municipal institutions, and we were able to pay small salaries to them. So we have employees of the municipal institution, and we also have volunteers in our team. For example, I am still a volunteer. You can see the photos of our volunteers. on this slide. And you can see that there are some pictures from the 5th of December when they were awarded on the volunteer day. We also have a call center. Last year we had more than 10,000 complaints, and the people were very active during winter time because they had questions about power supply, about garbage, and but people not only complained, they also informed about the work of municipal institutions, and I believe this is great when people are active. We have several other hotlines. This is a hotline for the military. We got 250 complaints, including 36 anonymous. This was information from the servicemen and from their relatives. We submitted this information to the regional command for investigation. And we also have a separate hotline for IDPs. They wanted to find information about the places where they could get help, and we have the list of all the centers and also the category of beneficiaries and the form of humanitarian support, including monetary support. As for our main activity that has been performed during the year, this is the delivery of humanitarian aid. We have received 9,624 pallets from our partners, 7,109 food pallets, 1,510 pallets with goods for children, personal care goods and household goods, and 924 pallets with clothes and other items. Pallet is a standard which can be from 500 to 200 tons, and you can calculate the volumes of goods and aid that we received. This was a significant number. We were not ready at first. That's why we had to solve the great number of issues, like finding warehouses, equipment warehouses, finding people who could work there. Some of the volunteers learned how to work with scales, with containers, and other types of equipments. They learned how to accept this help, how to record it, etc. Over the year, more than 8,000 pallets were disseminated, including more than 5,000 food products, 1,592 pallets with children goods, and more than 1,000 pallets with clothes, textile, and other items. So we had a lot of consignments with used clothes, and that took time because we had to check that clothes, to check the quality of the clothes, and to identify whether it was possible to give these clothes to other people. If not, we utilized destroyed that. We had the issues related to logistics, to transportation. And this is the biggest problem right now that we're facing. We don't have our own trucks or lorries. Before we were supported by the logistics companies and we paid with fuel to them. The fuel was provided by the regional administration. But now they are able to provide like 1-2 vehicles per day. And before that we had 10 vehicles from them per day, which we use wagons, but unfortunately every time we face problems with the delivery of goods, with on-time delivery, and now we're looking for partners. Recently, we met the representatives of the UN humanitarian foundation in Ukraine, and we discussed this issue. I explained that we're supported by private logistics companies and by Ukrainian railway company. And they were really surprised to learn about this. They were surprised why we're not supported by other UN agencies. So we agreed with them that this issue shall be solved, and I hope that the next head of humanitarian headquarters will be able to receive support, because that was really very time-consuming, how to find vehicles, how to find fuel, etc. To improve the quality of the aid provided, we need to ensure on-time delivery of the goods to beneficiaries. As for warehouses, the situation is quite stable now. By the end of last year, we were able to solve the warehouse issues. We have three main warehouses, one additional warehouse we are going to close soon, and we have partner warehouses in Romania, but they are not active right now because now consignments are accepted directly on our warehouses and from abroad, and now we are able to buy most items in Ukraine. Last year, we offered our donors not to bring into the country those items that can be bought in Ukraine. That's why now there is no need in partner warehouses. And locally, we have enough warehouses to receive 100% of aid. And we would like to thank commercial networks that provided their premises to us by October last year. It was really very difficult for them because we use the territory of sales networks, and they also paid for all utility services. They gave us their guards, their drivers, and that was really very supportive. Now we have separate warehouses with whom we are concluded contracts, but we just pay a symbolic payment. That's why this issue has been solved right now. As for what we have on our warehouses now, we have 1,628 pallets. So last week and this week, we don't have any shipments because the inventory is ongoing. We need to compare all the records and also to put in our records humanitarian aid that has been received but has not been yet recorded. These 1,628 pallets include 980 food pallets with food, 398 pallets with goods for children, personal care goods and household goods, and 250 with clothes and other items. As for our beneficiaries, one of the main category is IDPs. As of the 1st of April 2023, we have 146,114 persons, including 30% of children and 3% of people with disabilities. But this is official statistics. The real number is less because this includes 20,000 of people who were able to register outside the region, and some of them have left to other regions or abroad but have not informed the social services about their leave. And around 100,000 persons are IDPs from other regions who are staying now in our region. According to our assessment, 250,000 people are those citizens, are those people who require humanitarian aid. They are staying in Odesa Rayon, including the city of Odesa. So the balance is 2/3 of IDPs and locals who territorially stay in Odesa Rayon. And the city itself and the Odesa Rayon are most popular among IDPs. So we take into consideration this number when we disseminate big volumes of humanitarian aid, including food packages. So we take into consideration the actual number of IDPs, the amount of local population, and the capacity of communities. Namely, if communities are able to use their own budgets to cover their own needs. Here you can see the dynamics of IDPs. So we witnessed the significant increase during first 3 months. Then in November and December, when Kherson was liberated, and the amount and the increase is not that has been not that active lately, so the number is more or less stable. As for the support that we provide, in March we supported 94,581 persons, including more than 53,000 of people in the city of Odesa and more than 65,000 people in Odesa Rayon. This is the data that we've collected over the last year. The humanitarian aid has been provided more than 904,000 times, starting from the 1st of April last year. We provided humanitarian aid to IDPs and local population, and it also covers the aid provided by the headquarters and the aid that communities receive directly from donors. So this is an aggregated number of humanitarian aid provided by all stakeholders, but this number does not include the aid from private organizations, foundations, and volunteer organizations. We get information from territorial communities who cooperate with NGOs. Here, the responsibility of communities is very important, and I'd like to cover this topic in more details. We can say now that humanitarian aid will not be increased in the future. It can be on the same level, it can be decreased. And during the first 6 months, people still had money because they had jobs, they got salary, but now people are running out of their stocks, and that's why we have a problem now with people of working age who lost their jobs. And that's why we explained to international organizations the need of changing the type of support they provide. So they provide now different type of packages with food, clothes, textiles, etc. And we explained that vouchers or certificates for humanitarian aid will be more efficient. It will be easier to control money that people receive on their accounts, and this will improve the economic indicators. On the other hand, we should increase the number of jobs. It took us a long time to explain this to international organizations. In February, we were visited by representatives of the Dutch organization Spark, and I shared information with you during last report last month. And this organization supports employment during the war. And the lack of jobs damages our economy the most. That's why we need to provide support to people, to create new jobs, to make them able to find these jobs, to be able to find online jobs. And thanks to our military, the power supply has improved, people can work at home online. It is also important to support companies for the people to be able to earn on their own. I'd like to say that communities are different. Some of them are responsible. They provide information on time. They are effective in disseminating humanitarian aid. But still, there are a lot of negative examples when communities refuse to get humanitarian aid. And they say that there is no need for it, or that they cannot document that humanitarian aid properly, so they don't understand how to do this, and they are afraid that there will be sanctions from law enforcement authorities for that. There are a lot of manuals and guidelines now. A week ago, there was a round table in the Ministry of Interior University. There is a separate course now for communities, for the responsible persons, about proper recording of humanitarian aid. Those who want to perform this work, who want to support vulnerable population, can now learn how to do this properly. I would also like to say that after the hostilities end, the humanitarian problems will be still there. Ukrainians will start coming back from abroad, and the amount of people who will need support will increase after that. That will increase the burden on communities. They will need to use their own budgets, and they will need to purchase the products needed and to organize their work. That's now. I would like to call all communities to get ready now to that period and to learn how to do this properly, because this can influence the economy of our region. As for our contribution, those 900,000 times of the provided aid include a food package. There was the special program of the Common Food Project, and with the representatives of WFP, these packages were partially provided by the agencies and partially by communities. We received 150,000 of such packages during during 4 months of last year, and this year from January to March we have already received 100,000 of packages that include flour, rice, peas, vegetable oil, etc. So this is the task of communities, to pack everything, to add products from their part, and to disseminate these packages among natural persons. So we can see a significant contribution when it comes to the food packages, but there are other types of humanitarian goods, including healthcare products, personal care products, goods for children, including diapers and the nutrition for them, and also the diapers for adults. Such support also includes clothes, including new clothes, a lot of textiles. We received a lot of bed linen, pillows, blankets, when we were getting ready to winterization. We also receive sometimes household goods, power banks, dishes, etc. This is how it looks like. The work of our warehouses, the work of railway stations with which we cooperate. And just a few words about our partners. We have 4 main partners from the UN that include UNICEF, the World Food Programme, the UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, and the UN Refugee Agency, and also the IOM. We received huge support from them, and we are going to prepare a separate report about their support, and you will be able to get information about volumes and the time periods. UNICEF is one of the examples that it provided around 450 electric boilers for social institutions of our region. They also provided 500 heaters and almost 4,000 of kits of winter clothes for children. You can also see here information about our cooperation with WFP that provided more than 1 million tons of flour, 263 tons of peas, more than 500 rice, 83 ton vegetable oil, and we've received 42 tons of cereals and allowed around 80 tons of vegetable oil that we've received this year. And these products were produced in Ukraine. There are other international organizations that we've been cooperating with them for almost 1 year. ACTED, Intersos, Israel Aid, HEX, Nonviolent Peace Force, and other organizations that have become our partners. We had a lot of meetings with them, more than 100 various meetings with separate delegations, and we also had common meetings with them. We invite representatives of utility services, the local communities. We help to establish direct contacts where it is needed, and thus we improve the quality of the provided aid. There was an important contribution in the form of the support from the United Arab Emirates that sent us more than 200 generators. And we also received generators from the UN agency. I cannot share more details about our donors because we are limited in time, but you will be able to find this information on our website in the form of report and presentation. You will be able to get the information about monthly support. More than 600 pallets with medical products were received by Children Regional Hospital that cooperates with us. We were the first to receive these pallets, then we handed them over to the regional hospital that disseminate them further in the region. We received also 5 ambulances that were provided by Poland, Intersource, and other partners. Mobile hospital. It is a very interesting item, and we helped to organize delivery of this mobile hospital to Mykolaiv Oblast. I've already mentioned that we have had more than 100 meetings with our partners and beneficiaries. We've had a lot of guests, Vice Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk, Vice Prime Minister Stefanishina. We also had Denise Brown, the coordinator of the UN system. We had representatives of religious institution Epiphany and Sviatoslav from the Orthodox Church of Ukraine and Greek Catholic Church of Ukraine. We were visited by representatives of international organizations and journalists. We also supported neighboring regions. When Mykolaiv saw problems with the water supply, we delivered their equipment and potable water, and we also organized more than 242,000 of food packages in the framework of the program Neighbors to Mykolaiv Oblast. Some of them were packed in individual boxes, others were supplied by pallets. And we also supported the Kherson Oblast. We sent 4 wagons and 4 lorries with humanitarian aid. We supported them even during those times when Kherson was occupied. After liberation, we continued our support. We also organized two groups of volunteers from all over Ukraine who went to Kherson to support local authorities to deal with humanitarian aid, to clear up debris, to support works of utility services. So we had two editions of this project, 1.0, 2.0, and now we are organizing the third group that will be visiting Kherson in the next couple of weeks. They will cooperate with the newly appointed head of the Kherson Oblast. We're in good contact with that person. There are not so many people in Kherson now, but still there is a lot of tasks there. If you want to support our volunteers, please follow information on our pages. Here you can see the photos from different activities that were dedicated to different issues. We had the job fair. We also visited Netherlands, Germany, Poland. There were different festivals there. There were also events to support Ukrainian cultures. We had the speaking club of Yedini project in our headquarters. We have special activities for children of IDPs. There is also the adaptation center where we help out IDPs to find themselves in our region. We try to identify their problems and try to help them to solve them. We have the project which is called Live Communications. We organize visits to Dolphinarium, to museums, free of charge for children of IDPs. We actively cooperated with volunteers, and we involved representatives of different companies in our work. And some companies also delegated their staff to support us. As for winterization, we did a lot. Together with the international organizations, we were able to equip more than 5,000 venues for possible forced evacuation, but thanks God, we did not use them. But Odesa Oblast is still ready to accept 5,000 of persons simultaneous. We also organized work of centers for IDPs, bomb shelters, and other types of shelters. We also supported our military. That was not our direct task because, unfortunately, most donors are not ready to support military units. But anyway, we had these tasks from the regional administration and the office of the president. We have a separate report about our support of the military. We provided clothes, food, personal care goods, and also rather specific types of goods. We were able to receive them directly, or we established contacts between donors and units that were able actually to provide armor vests, like more than 1,500, the trench candles, laptops, cars, tactical first aid kits, and certificates for recovery of the military, dried food, water, etc. There is the whole list, the tourniquets for training, and other items. During winterization, we provide a lot of thermal clothes, hats, socks, scarves, etc. As for our plans for the future, I'd like to say once again that now you can apply to become the head of the Humanitarian Coordination Headquarters on our website and on our social media pages, you can find the list of the documents you need to provide. You need to send your photo. You need to describe your experience in humanitarian area, because experience is welcomed. But we are not limiting anyone, and if you criticized us for our work, now you have an opportunity to apply for this position. This is all from my side, and now I'd like to say about my personal plans for the future. We are planning to open an NGO with some of the volunteers from our headquarters to support our military, namely to get ammunition and equipment. We also plan to provide mental support and also to support families with fallen heroes, and perhaps we would also cover the issues of demining. And we can see now that humanitarian area works well with the impact of war, but we would like to work more with the military. We have experience, and now we can involve donors from the abroad. We can accumulate funds outside of Ukraine, because we don't want to compete with our colleagues in Ukraine. I would also like to continue my professional career. This is education of adults. There are a lot of issues related to recovery, and we see that communities have problems with the properly recording humanitarian aid, and the recovery is more difficult because they need to conclude contracts, they need to find contractors, the process should be transparent. That's why I see the need of training of staff of local authorities. And also there is the question of liberation of Ukrainian territories, what we saw in Kherson. We need to prepare people who will be ready to work there. Especially this is important for the Crimea and Donbass, because after 8 years it would be very difficult to find pro-Ukrainian people there to recover the region. That's why we need to train staff for that. And I would like to resume these activities of my career. Our humanitarian headquarters require new team, new staff, new vision, because we have been experiencing burnouts. That's why we would like to welcome the new team who could bring new life in these headquarters. We are ready to give our equipped office. We have the database of international organizations. We have the experience of record keeping. We know what are challenges, this humanitarian headquarters have. The team is still there. That's why I would like to invite you to supply your applications, and on Monday we will see the number of candidates, and we will discuss these candidates during the open meeting. And we will be able to recommend candidates to the regional administration. And now I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Chornyi. Are there any questions from the floor? No. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you for supporting our country. That was Oleksii Chornyi, the head of coordination humanitarian staff of the Odesa Oblast. And see you at noon with our next briefing. Stay tuned.